everybody, and welcome back once again to Let's Play Motorsport Manager with the Phoenix Knights Racing Team. In the last session, well, to be quite honest, we should really forget the last session because we completely and utterly destroyed Sundin's race. We forgot to bring her into the pits before her fuel ran out. Thus, she finished out of the points. Meanwhile, Sergio Valdes, we almost screwed him over as well because we forgot to improve the reliability of his suspension that we had recently installed into his car. Thankfully, despite having to come in to fix the suspension during his second pit stop, he still pushed on to race victory. In addition to that, he also got the fastest lap of the race, which I didn't notice at the time, hence he got an extra 2 bonus points. Thus, the points difference between him and Sundin is now down just to 9 points with 2 races to go. It's going to be a close finish. But if Sundin beats Valdes in this particular race, whether she wins it or not, if she finishes ahead of Valdes in this race, the championship is all but over. Right, so we're a few days away from the Black Sea. Just going to wait a second. Couple of news items to take a look at. And Valdes wants new brakes for the next race. It looks like he wants some kind of a strategic edge over Sundin, and he's trying to twist our arm. No! You will get what you are given and do as you're told. The nerve of the man! He really is pulling out all the stops to try and win this championship. Demanding parts be designed just for him. Right, we're almost ready. Car is now fixed, repaired from the last race, and we can focus on fixing the reliability of Valdes's suspension. As a matter of urgency, actually. That'll do. Yeah, so acceleration, gearbox, the reliability of both cars are done and dusted now, other than the suspension here. We're going to repair, or we're going to increase the performance as best we can of these parts. Why are we fixing the performance of 3 suspensions? That doesn't seem to make sense, does it now? We should stop that one. And improve the performance of nothing else right now. Nothing else at all. Right. So in the last session, I kind of started designing a new gearbox in preparation for our promotion to the next series. And after doing some research, and somebody also commented, I don't think our performance carries over next season. I think we get given almost like a standard car. So I think we're going to hold off designing any further parts. So what we have now is what we will stick with. There is a political vote to try to enable the development of front wings for next season in the European Racing Series. It makes no difference to us because we're not going to be here, barring some minor miracle. So we're just going to abstain and continue to build up our voting power for next season. We want to be able to try and bend a few, well, say bend, maybe influence, I suppose, a few votes next season for rule changes that may benefit us as one of the weaker teams in the new series. And it looks like front wings will be developed next season in the European Racing Series. For the first time since we have begun playing. Right, we shall power on. Power our way to the Black Sea for the penultimate race of the season. And I sincerely hope that I do not forget to do anything for these guys. I want to give them both an even chance, an even crack at the whip at this. I don't want somebody to win a championship due to my blunder, so I'm going to be taking extra care in the next race to make sure that there's no errors on my part. This is not really moving very quickly. Let's give it a bit more focus. Suspension isn't a key part in the next race, so it shouldn't be a massive problem. if it's below 80% or so. Right, and your gearbox is finished. Now, unfortunately, I mean, it's a great gearbox. It's got great potential, but unfortunately, we're not going to have enough time to develop it in terms of its performance. We're not going to have enough time to improve the performance of it. It's not going to. It's also risky, so we're not going to use it on any of our cars this season, and it's not going to carry forward to next season. So it's pretty much a void part, really. Unfortunately, waste of money perhaps, but I didn't know at the time that our parts didn't carry forward. Never mind. You live and learn these things. And this is where somebody tells me that I'm completely and utterly wrong. Okay, so we're here. We are at the race weekend now. The Black Sea looms ahead. The penultimate race of the season. Valdes needs to beat Sundin to keep the championship alive. Talk about pressure. But if there's one man that can cope with pressure, surely got to be the reigning champion, one Mr. Sergio Valdes. See you in qualifying. Okay, so here we are. Practice has been completed, and the time to the other cars perhaps not quite so important because we were the only team to do a dry run on a dry track as the rain came early in the session. The most important thing is, of course, Sergio Valdes outperformed Sundin, both on the same tyre, both on the same instruction, almost 2/10 faster. He's just continuing to put the pressure on, continuing to lay down those markers. He's forcing Sundin to try and make those mistakes. You've got to give it to the man. He's definitely not giving up without a fight. And look at this. We have near monsoon weather here. Is this going to spice things up? The track is going to dry later, so we're going to do our usual strategy of just waiting it out in the early minutes of the session, sorry. Here we go. We're going to take qualifying. We're going to wait patiently for the rain to subside, wait for the track to dry, and then we're going to go out. These guys will be going out on inters at the moment. This is not intermediate weather, and it won't be intermediate weather for their hot laps. So we'll just sit pretty in here. We won't panic. We have the benefit of a nice insight into the forecast later in the session due to our forecasting centre. And we know that the track is going to come to us. It is going to dry out around about with a couple of minutes left. So again, if we time it right, we do a dry run, we make it up the table, make it up the grid. As cars come round on full wets, having initially gone out on inters, I thought, well, it looked like that's what happened. It's okay, folks, just calm down, nothing to get irate about. Trust in Potter. Occasionally he screws up, but trust in Potter. He's right more often than not. Right, the track is going to come to us now. It's drying out. The temperatures are pretty cool. A lot of these guys are in their in-laps. They're on hot laps. We're the only ones in the pits, so it's unlikely that any of these guys are going to come out for a dry run. So we'll maintain our position here in the garage for now. We'll maintain our position here in the garage. Just wait a bit longer. Now, this is quite a long... I didn't see the times. I don't think we're going to have to delay any longer than is necessary here. So we're going to send out Sundin. We're going to send her out on the dry tyre. Off she'll tootle. Yeah, slow down. And off goes Valdes to do his hot lap as well. Slow the time down, and off we go. So Sundin and Valdes going out on dry tyres as the track is now perfect condition for them. What we're going to do with Valdes is we're just going to... No, we're not. We're going to do it now. Put auto on straight away. Right, here we go. So it's open track. Fingers crossed. Nobody in our way by the looks of it. A drying track. So it's just going to be... May the best man or woman win. Let's have a look at Sundin, how she prepares her car, ready for her flying lap. How is she going to do? Slightly overheated the brakes, but the tyre temps are perfect. And Valdes is in the same boat, so they are roughly the same in terms of their performance on the outlap. It's just down to the flying lap as we follow Valdes. Unfortunately, a car has come out right in front of him. Hopefully they will not interfere as Sundin for the first sector. Going to lay down her marker very shortly. She's 2.8 seconds faster. Valdes is 2.8. He's 1,000th of a second slower than Sundin in the first sector. This is how close it is, folks. 1,000th of a second separates them in the first sector. Sundin is now 6.1 in the second sector ahead. Valdes is 6.1, but slightly up by a couple of hundredths. This is absolutely nail-biting stuff from the two Phoenix Knights Racing drivers. Who is going to get the position? It's Sundin. Sundin has out-qualified Valdes by 100th of a second. Could that be pivotal in the race for the championship? The session is finished. There's a couple of people on hot laps. It's who is it? Number 6 and number 8. It's Liao and Santa Ana. Neither of those should be able to out-qualify us. And they don't. So it's another 1-2 for Phoenix Knights. Pole position for Sundin. Just as she needs to settle those nerves as Valdes continues to push. There's no denying it. He has definitely picked his performance up this season. At the start of the season he was qualifying half a second slower than Sundin, but he really has picked his game up and he's pushing her hard, he's running her close. We've got to give him his dues for that. And it looked like he was going to get pole. The final sector just must have lost what, 400ths of a second in the final sector. That's how it's quicker than a blink of an eye. That's the margins that we are dealing with. Hong Liao getting 3rd, Santa Ana 4th, Sabado in the Firebird managing to finally qualify in a high position in variable conditions. He's in 5th, Mello 6th, where's Ruiz? 9th. Who cares? They just don't do very well. They've got the best car, but they've got such crap strategists that they have really underperformed this season. That's all we can say about that. There's something about the name Phoenix Knights. It has a beautiful ring to it. Hear, hear, Joseph Strauss. Hear, hear. Okay, it looks like we have rain in the race. This is going to be a race of variable conditions. Talk about spicing it up. Talk about spicing it up for the championship. We have variable conditions in the race. Saying that, it looks like it's going to be intermediate weather for some time. So what we are going to do we go soft? Do you know what? I don't think we're going to risk it. We may not get soft tyres. We're going to go for 50% faster pit changes with both cars. That doesn't look. It looks quite bleak, does the old weather forecast? So we're going to do the same with Valdes. We've got the 15% performance for the race trim. Car setups are done. So it's just driver strategy here. We're going to attack with both cars. The temperatures of the track will be low due to the rain. So we're going to attack at will. Pit strategy. It's definitely intermediate weather. It's going to be intermediate weather until about lap 6 or 7. We can only put in 6 laps of fuel. So as Sundin has the benefit of race position, she wants to have slightly less fuel for a shorter first stint. So she shall have what she has requested for. She's qualified higher up, so she has the choice. She wants to get away quickly, and she wants to have a lighter fuel load to stretch that advantage and maintain track position. So Valdes will have to he'll have to have the longest stint. May work to his benefit if the track dries earlier than expected, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. So Valdes has a full tank. Right. I'm nervous here. I'm telling you, I'm a little bit nervous. I mean, I've really enjoyed watching Sundin cruise around and come to the team and really lay down the marker, but I'm just really impressed with how Valdes has come back, and I'm actually secretly rooting for him to retain his title as the underdog. I really am. But all I'm going to try to ensure is that I don't inadvertently screw somebody's race up here. So off we go. Make sure that we give them both a fair crack at the whip. We've seen the grid already. We don't care anymore. This is about two drivers in the same car. As the lights go out, can Valdes get his usual flying start? No, he doesn't today. Sundin manages to keep ahead, for the time being at least, going into the first corner. The one time Valdes needed one of his blistering starts, he didn't quite get it. But we're off and racing. Both cars. Oh, look at that! Up the inside! He puts a move on his teammate. Valdes has just gone up the inside of Sundin, and he's now in first position. Can you believe it? The track is going to dry temporarily, but it will start to rain again. Both drivers are going to be pushing for the majority of this race. The car conditions hopefully will last. Sabado has moved up into third position. He is capable of winning this race, so this is not just about, you know, the two drivers on the track here. There is somebody that could throw a spanner in the works. If he was to pass Sundin and finish second, for instance, that could have a detrimental effect in the championship to Sundin. Yellow flag in the first sector. Dreyfus has crashed. As Valdes maintains position, is in first place here. His pacing is good. Sundin is in second, and she has Sabado all over the back of her. Just talk about putting a bit of extra pressure on when you don't need it. We still need to be on inters. The rain will come again. The rain will come again. No need to fear. The rain will come again. Here we go, Valdes crossing the line at the start of the third lap in first position, but he isn't massively pulling out a gap to Sundin. Sabado in third. These top three are pulling away from Mello, however. Three-horse race here, as we now have to just turn down the engines of both cars and just turn down the aggression for now. And here comes the rain again. Valdes, Sundin, Sabado. Now don't forget here, Sundin is going to pit first. She had the lighter fuel load, hoping to build a gap in first place. Didn't anticipate being passed up the inside in a daring move by her teammate. But he pulled out all stops, it has to be said. As we're going to have to now turn down to medium, I think, before we to enable us to have enough fuel to make it round. Right, it's Sundin who's coming in at the end of this lap. It's still going to be intermediate weather for the majority of this race. So it's going to be a pit stop for Sundin for a fresh set of inters. She's going to fuel up as much fuel as possible. Parts are fine. We're going to go for the balanced pit stop strategy. There we go. We've remembered to pit her this time. For her first stop at least. One more stop to go. As Valdes, she's going to push hard. It's her in-lap. She's going to push. She's going to push the engine to high for now also. For a little bit. She will gain on Valdes, I think, while she's pushing hard. She is gaining a little bit. I think she's going to have enough fuel to make it all the way around on push here. Yep, here she comes. She's coming into the pits now, so she had enough fuel there. Nicely done. She's in the pits. Let's have a look at her stop. Let's have a look at her stop. Let's have a look at her stop. It's okay. It's great with the fueling. It's good with the tyres, so she's not doing too bad. And I think just push should be sufficient. Right, Valdes now. He's crossed the line. We're going to bring him in. Normally I don't pause it, but I'm just trying to make sure that I don't screw somebody up here. So I am pausing it today just to make sure that everything is as it should be. We're going to fuel Valdes with maximum fuel. The track is going to dry towards the end. The track is going to dry towards the end. Valdes here sees an opportunity. If he can stretch his stint to round about lap 11 and come in round about lap 11, he could be on the dry tyre just at the right moment, whereas Sundin might have to come in a lap earlier and she'll be on the dry tyre a lap too soon. Oh dear, this could be interesting. This could certainly be interesting indeed. Right, so maximum fuel. I'm thinking about whether or not we should actually go on low fuel burn, you know, low engine mode to maximise our stint. Right, Valdes is coming into the in-lap. So we're going to give him the push order. Right, Sundin is going to have to go medium. She's going to have to go medium at least to stretch her stint out. She can't afford to be burning fuel unnecessarily. The track is going to dry right at the wrong moment for her. Not only has fate conspired against her, perhaps, her mechanics in the last race conspired against her, now the weather gods are conspiring against her, it seems. Can she catch a break? Valdes pushing as he comes round to make his pit stop. He just prays that his pit crew deliver like they did for Sundin there. Refueling has gone okay. It's a good stop all round. It's a good stop all round. Straight away he's going to go on to the normal strategy. Sundin is just coming round in 11th position. She's probably been held up by a car or two coming out in traffic. She is a fair distance behind Valdes. She's still ahead of Sabardo though. That's the main thing for her championship. She is still in second. Valdes is in first, and he has a nice gap to play with. He has a nice gap. The track is drying. It is drying round about lap 11. The longer we can hold out, the better it is for us. Going on the dry tyre a lap or too early could cost you dearly. Sundin can't do anything about it. Even if she goes onto the low fuel burn to try and stretch her stop, that would put her in a position where she'd have to double stack possibly behind Valdes even. She is really in a bad place right now. She is really in a bad place. Valdes, he's just cruising around in first position. The weather is working in his favour. I mean, poor Sundin probably doesn't realise it. I don't think her team are telling her this because it's going to ruin her morale. But yeah, they're just telling her just to maintain position. Don't turn the engine mode up. Just keep it as it is. Sabardo is all over the back of her. She's wondering why she can't turn her engine mode up. And she's now almost been overtaken. She is having to defend against Sabardo, who is pushing very hard, both engine and driving style, to try and get past Thunder in Sundin. But despite the fact that he is pushing, he's not making any sort of inroads. She is defending him well. Valdes in front, still 6 seconds clear. The rain's still coming down. Sundin now, she's got a bit more breathing room. Let's have a look at Valdes. I mean, to be quite honest with you, barring a catastrophe happening, this should be his race from here. This really should be his race from here. He's got a little smidgen of fuel to play with should he wish to push on his in-lap. But for now, he's just nicely going around. The car condition is A-OK. Sundin can also push a little bit when it comes to an in-lap. If she needs to try and keep a distance to Sabato, who once again is now pushing again. He's pushing hard on the tyres. His engine mode is on conserve. Okay, so we're coming round again. I mean, this guy's in a class of his own today. He's been in a class of his own for the last few races as Valdes, it has to be said. He has absolutely risen to the challenge. People wrote him off as if he was already out of the championship, and he has responded resoundingly now, as Sundin is now going to go for it. It's an in-lap. This is the lap she comes in. She's going to go onto the dry tyre. The track is still wet. It is very early to go onto the dry tyre. She has no choice. She really has no choice. She cannot do anything else. She needs to go onto the tyre. She needs to go onto the tyre because it is going to dry the track. But it's a lap too early. It is a lap too early here. And if Sabard, oh, she's locked up. She's locked up a little bit as well. She is feeling the pressure here. She's locked the tyres. She's definitely feeling the pressure. Sabardo's coming in at the same time, so at least she won't lose out to an undercut to Sabardo, which is a slight blessing in disguise. But in terms of Valdes, he is just romping it. Absolutely romping home. Right, she's in. She needs a miracle pit stop. She needs them to really... There you go. It's a good pit stop. She's got excess fuel now. The track is damp. And Valdes still has the right tyre on, whereas she is on the wrong one. He's going to pit. He's going to come in for dry tyres. The track will be a little bit drier when he comes out, which will be to his great benefit. He has to spend less time in the pits because he's taking one lap less of fuel. The park conditions are good. This race is working out completely and utterly perfectly for Valdes, as he just pushes a little bit now, just to make sure he has the required gap. Right, Sundin is in 4th place. Mikhailovic and Gerard both have to pit ahead of her, so she's not concerned. Sabardo looks like he has had to stop for repairs. So the pressure from the rear is now subsided as we take a look at Valdes's stop. A mistake with the refuelling has completely and utterly, almost, wiped out his advantage. "5 seconds, the error there, but he's thankfully still ahead of Sundin, but not by as much as he would have hoped. So Sundin is still in this. She's 6 seconds behind, but there's what, 3-4 laps to go. It's not beyond the realms of possibility. A locked wheel, a locked tyre or two might mean curtains. But it is a big ask. 6.5 seconds is a very big ask. And Valdes has extra fuel to the tune of... Let's just take a quick check here. 13, 14. He can really push. He's taken on an extra lap of fuel. He could really turn it up to overtake mode, in fact, if he needs to. But at the moment, he doesn't. So we'll just leave both cars as they are. It's an absolute romp for Phoenix Knights here. It's a 1-2 and nobody else is anywhere near them. Valdes' pace is good. Sundin's pace is not too bad either, but the gap is extending slightly. It's not even reducing, it's extending. Now he has this race under utter and complete control. I don't know who has the fastest lap at the moment, but it would be absolutely awesome if it was Valdes, because it would give him a 6-point swing, which would mean he would be only 3 points behind Sundin with 1 race to go. So we're coming round now, 1.5 laps to go, and Valdes, the defining moment of this race, was when he pulled the manoeuvre up the inside of Sundin and just put his foot down. He was taking no prisoners there. I mean, could have risked knocking both cars out of the race, but he didn't, he just went for it. No fear, no mercy, put the frighteners on her. I think it shook her up, to be fair. Thundering Sundin is fast becoming blundering Sundin, as she is really feeling the strain that her teammate is putting her under. 7 point. Look, the gap is extending. The gap is gone up by 2 seconds. Both cars are on the same instruction, and he is just absolutely walking it. Is it the racer trait that gives him +2 to all his stats in the race? Is that what's helping him? Because he still has the inferior car. I don't know. It's just like he's a man possessed. It really is. As Valdes crosses the line in first place. Another victory for the current champion of the European Racing Series, and he takes the championship down to the wire. Now, if this was the previous couple of seasons, it would have been championship over. There would have only been 10 rounds, but the addition of an extra Grand Prix has given Valdes an opportunity here. It's given him an absolutely glorious opportunity. For all intents and purposes, Sundin drove a pretty decent race. She's got a convincing 2nd place, well ahead of anybody else. But her main title rival and her teammate has absolutely put her to the sword today. Put her to the sword. Wow. So here we go. I mean, you can argue that perhaps the weather didn't help and that Sundin went on to dry tyres a lap too early, or a lap earlier than Valdes, but Valdes suffered a massive 5-second mistake which negated that advantage. It just came down to the fact, I think the Valdes is just so hungry for it, and he put the move up the inside, put the frighteners on her, shook her up a bit, and she never recovered. She did so well to qualify ahead, and that qualifying just was for nothing really, because by hook or by crook, Valdes was going to get past her. Whether it was due to his faster start or through some heroic lunge up the inside, he was determined to get past her. Vannanen finishes 3rd, Mikhailovic has managed to rise to 4th, Gerard in 5th, Antonov in 6th. Oh, that was good stuff. I think it's safe to assume, folks, that no matter what happens this season, both drivers still have another year left on their contracts, and despite Valdes's rivalry and all of his displeasure, you know, all the smack talk that he's said about poor old Sundin, we are going to keep them together next season. Right, fastest lap was actually Mikhailovic, so it is only a 4-point swing. I say only, it's better than nothing. 10 points for Valdes, 6 points for Sundin, and everybody else, well, we don't really care right now. It's a 1-2 for Phoenix Knights, which I think effectively wraps up the Constructors' Championship. Mathematically, they are guaranteed to be moving up to the Asia Pacific Cup next season. But even though I'm elated to be promoted, I don't even care. I want to see who of these two is going to win the championship. 5 points is the difference. So even if Valdes wins the next race and Sundin finishes second, Sundin will win the championship by 1 point. Valdes has to win and hope that Sundin finishes third or worse. Valdes has to win and get the fastest lap, and even if Sundin finishes second, she'll be a point behind. Or if neither of them win, somehow Valdes has to beat Sundin by 5 points. The best hope is that he wins it to get the full 10 points, and then he just has to pray that something happens to Sundin. Phoenix Knights, a massive 76 point gap to Ruiz Motorsport. This has been an absolute walkover, it really has. Spurred on by two teammates that are itching to beat each other. They've pushed each other so hard this season that they've blown the opposition into the ether. So Valdes once again continues to have that high morale due to another victory. The more he wins, the more the momentum swings, the more he's determined to beat Sundin. 20 million in the bank, which is very nice. Thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to call a close to today's session there. I gave them both a fair crack at the whip. I couldn't tell from the weather forecast that it was going to be detrimental to Sundin to give her the short stint. She wanted to get down and put the marker down with less fuel, and that kind of bit her in the backside a little touch. But you can't take it away that actually, rather than Sundin perhaps losing the race, I think it was a case of Valdes actually took the bull by the horns and won it. So, one race to go. It's in Dubai. It's a grand finale. Who will be champion? Who deserves to be champion? I mean, to be quite honest with you, I think they both do. I mean, Valdes' fight back has been absolutely immense. But yeah, join me in the next session to see who's crowned Euro Racing Series champion. Till then, see you soon.